Hi drummers, Gary Williams here, your Drumset mastermind and creator of the Drumset Artistry Mastermind group. It's a nice afternoon here today. Today I'd like to talk about sight reading. Some of you in the group don't read music, some of you do. And recently there was a gentleman that was given a lot of kudos and thumbs up and support for doing a musical theater show or some kind of a play where he had to rehearse and read a bunch of charts for, I think it was a musical actually, and he was pretty nervous about it. I'm sure it's going well, and I've been in those situations where you don't have a whole lot of time to listen and memorize the music, so you really have to rely upon your ability to read. But for me, when it comes to reading, there's different levels of being able to read music effectively. The very first thing I recommend that you do when you're first learning to read is to actually count everything out loud. Kind of like when you were first learning how to read words, you actually were pretty fluent in your ability to speak, but you didn't know what the letters were that were composed in such a way to produce a sound. You knew, for example, the word cat, and then you saw under a picture of a cat, C-A-T, and as you learned the alphabet, you eventually learned how to put these sounds together to produce the sound that you already knew. Similarly, with a lot of rhythms that you've heard either on a snare or drum beats that you've heard on a drum set, if you were to see some of those rhythms written out, it would vastly increase your ability to be able to understand what's going on. I recently gave a member of this group a lesson on jazz coordination, and this gentleman had only been trying to figure this out simply by ear. And he was listening to some excellent drummers, but they're kind of sophisticated players, well into their, professional years of playing. And so it's pretty hard, when you're first learning, just like you first were learning how to talk, to understand some of the words the grown-ups would say. So eventually you develop the ability to expand your vocabulary by ear. But then when you learned how to spell and actually read, then you could break down larger words and pronounce them more clearly and actually teach yourself stuff. So with his ability to hear things, then I sent him what I call a picture of sound. I actually wrote out what the beat would look like, explained it, and it made so much sense to him that he was able to really benefit greatly by using the visual aid of the symbols on the page, the musical notes, that is, to space things out. I taught him how to count, how to verbalize the language of rhythm, just like you are able to spell a word in front of your teacher and verbalize the different letters and then say the word as a whole. He was able to count the different rhythms and then eventually be able to play them as a whole on the drum set. So this is where reading really becomes a huge benefit to not only helping you sort out some mechanical coordination issues, but obviously then you can become a literate reading musician and then pick up books and go through books. And I used to love to go through books because just like somebody who's into reading books and just sitting down and going through novels or whatever, I went through drum books, and when one was done I would seek another one out. And I usually didn't skip around and didn't sort of sample. I was very diligent about when I started a book. I went from one page to page 2 and 3 and really took the time to absorb the information. I read all the directions on how to build the sound that you were about to do by going through the exercises. So these are just a few tips I wanted to share with you. And if this is something you're interested in improving, then you can consider private messaging me. I can definitely help you get the same results I'm able to give my other clients. Reading is something I'm very passionate about. I can make it very, very simple for you. So if you're interested, get a hold of me. Otherwise, I encourage you to do what you can to see if you can understand a bit more about it, because I know what you do, you're going to be very glad that you did. Okay, so stay nice to yourself and continue practicing, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.